The Tuesday afternoon sun sank lower over Briarwood Hollow, casting long shadows across my 5-acre homestead as I turned into the gravel driveway. My stomach twisted the second I saw them, 3 bikers, clad in sun-bleached leather, looming over my daughter, Mia Callahan. She stood rigid against the chicken coop, her project notebook pressed tightly to her chest, her face ghost white, her brown eyes wide with terror. Their gleaming Harleys lined the driveway like metal barricades, chrome catching the light like a warning shot. I'd spent 22 years as an Army Ranger, faced death in 6 combat tours, and believed I'd finally outrun chaos by settling here. But the Briarwood Hollow HOA, under its new president, Veronica Blake, had evolved from petty nuisances to full-on intimidation. Those bikers had no idea who they were dealing with or how, within the next 3 minutes, their entire scheme would start to unravel. When strangers threaten your child on your own land, there are no half measures. Every fiber in my being was poised to protect Mia. And through that fire, we would expose a rot that had festered too long. Briarwood Hollow was supposed to be my refuge after service. Lot 52, tucked away at the dead end of Pinecrest Lane, far from sirens and sandstorms, where the wind smelled of wildflowers instead of smoke. My name's Daniel Callahan, once Colonel Callahan of the 75th Ranger Regiment, now just Dan, the guy with a woodworking shop, an old yellow lab, and a teenage daughter who grew up too fast while I was deployed. 3 years back, I bought this place for Mia. Somewhere she could raise her 4-H livestock projects, earn scholarships for vet school, and somewhere I could swap battle maps for dovetail joints. At first, the HOA was harmless, brief monthly meetings, modest dues, rules that kept yards neat, and neighbors who waved but mostly kept to themselves. Perfect. Until Veronica Blake arrived. She was a corporate transplant in designer suits, a fast talker with a sharper agenda. Within 6 months of winning the HOA presidency, she turned our sleepy neighborhood into her private fiefdom. New regulations came without warning: grass 1 inch too tall, mailbox 3 inches too far to the left, fines 4, aesthetic disruption. I went along at first. Moved the mailbox. Cut the lawn to the inch. But when she proposed a $600,000 neighborhood improvement fund without detailing where the money was going, I pushed back. I asked simple questions. Where were the bids? Where was the oversight? The room fell silent. Veronica's lips thinned to a hard line, and she muttered, "Financials are not up for public scrutiny." I recognized the tactic immediately: shame the dissenter, intimidate the others. It worked. Nobody spoke up. The retaliation was swift. Mia's meticulously maintained 4-H chicken project, complete with county zoning approval, was suddenly deemed an unauthorized livestock operation. A certified letter arrived ordering removal within 48 hours or face $100 a day fines. Mia was devastated. She had worked tirelessly raising rare heritage breeds, documenting every detail for sustainability projects that could win her scholarships. I appealed. I sent zoning documents. I requested a hearing. Veronica ignored it all. Then came more fines for excessive vehicles when Mia's 4-H friends visited, for noise from clucking hens that no neighbor had complained about. The message was clear: leave or suffer. One night, after another notice had arrived, Mia sat on the porch steps, blinking back tears. "Why do they hate us?" she whispered. I wrapped an arm around her and said, "They don't hate you, sweetheart. They hate losing control." Tuesday started like any other. Mia texted that she'd be home early to work on her project. I swung by Green's Hardware to pick up cedar planks. Edna Green rang me up and asked, "Still wrangling with that HOA nonsense, Dan?" I smiled tightly. "Nothing we can't handle." The air was thick with the smell of fresh soil when I pulled up the driveway. And then I saw them. 3 bikers cornering my daughter. The biggest one, heavy-set and tattooed, leaned over Mia, smirking. "Chickens go when the HOA says so, kid," he barked. Mia, in her yellow jacket, was pinned between 2 of them, terror radiating off her. Beyond them, a black Cadillac Escalade idled at the street's end. Veronica Blake sat behind the tinted window, cell phone raised, recording. I shut off my truck and silently activated my dash and body cams. Evidence first. The bikers wore Red Iron Brotherhood patches, a group I knew well from my consulting work after retirement. Not the worst out there, but dirty enough to be dangerous. I assessed them in an instant. The leader, 6 feet 3 inches, at least 250 pounds, right-handed, heavy boots. The second, leaner but solid, military tattoos visible under his vest. The third, younger, twitchy, hand grazing the small of his back, Likely aren't. I stepped out, voice flat but firm. That's my daughter. Step back. Mia straightened slightly but didn't dare move. Her knuckles whitened around her notebook. The leader grinned, flashing a gold tooth. Daniel Callahan, Lot 52. 3 warnings. 9 infractions. HOA says the chicken's gotta go. He advanced another step toward Mia. You work for the HOA? I asked, voice still casual, buying time. He chuckled. Call us, compliance consultants. Compliance consultants who terrify kids? My voice dropped an octave. He hesitated. 20 feet. Now, I ordered. Mia, inside. Call Sheriff Walters. Mia bolted, but the leader snatched her wrist. Not so fast, sweetheart. Daddy needs to listen first. Fatal mistake. 5 seconds to let go, I said quietly. Or you'll regret it. He laughed. Mia wrenched, but he held firm. 4. His grip faltered. 3. Mia broke free, sprinting toward the porch. 2. The bikers shifted uneasily. 1. I pressed the call button on my belt. Crimson Echo 1 to Watchtower. Immediate containment at my location. Copy that, Colonel Callahan, came the response. 3 minutes out. The leader, Doyle, paled visibly. Wait, Colonel Callahan? As in the Callahan? The second man, Vince, hissed, Holy hell, Doyle, that's the ranger. The young one, Tyler, muttered, they didn't tell us it was him. 2 black Suburbans roared up the road, boxing in the bikers. Doors flew open, and my old team, now private contractors, flooded out. Doyle put his hands up. We were just following orders. Veronica Blake hired us. $2,000 to scare you off. Sheriff Walters arrived moments later, his cruiser skidding to a halt. He took one look at the scene and grimaced. Mia was safe inside, peeking through the screen door, clutching her phone. My men secured the bikers. I nodded to Mike Nolan, my second-in-command back in the day. Mike pulled Doyle aside and started the questioning. Within minutes, it all unraveled. Veronica Blake had been orchestrating an elaborate scheme to force out homeowners with choice lots, then funnel the sales through her brother's company, Horizon Crest Realty. She'd weaponized HOA authority to harass, intimidate, and extort. Mia's coup wasn't the only target. 3 other families had already caved, selling at half market value to Veronica's shell companies after relentless fines and harassment. With the bikers singing and security footage in hand, Sheriff Walters had enough for multiple felony charges. Wire fraud, racketeering, conspiracy, child endangerment. By nightfall, Veronica Blake was in handcuffs, escorted out of her Escalade by deputies. The fallout was swift and merciless. An emergency town meeting packed the old community barn. Neighbors who had once looked the other way now listened in horror as evidence of years of embezzlement and abuse piled up. Edna Green sobbed openly. She scared me into selling my bakery, she said. Carlos Mendoza, who had been fined daily for his non-standard mailbox color, clenched his fists. She wanted us out, he growled. Anyone who didn't fit her image. Mia, standing tall in her muddy boots, addressed the crowd. They tried to divide us, she said, voice steady. But we're stronger together. The barn erupted in applause. Within weeks, the HOA was disbanded. A civil suit followed, and a court-appointed trustee was installed to manage the cleanup. New rules were drafted, transparent, fair, accountable. Mia's Chicken Project was reinstated. In fact, the coop was expanded into a full community agricultural center. Kids came to learn about sustainability. Families volunteered to plant gardens. Elderly residents found purpose teaching new generation skills that might otherwise have been lost. Mia even won a $12,000 scholarship for her bravery and community leadership. She now talks about studying law someday, maybe agricultural law, she says with a grin. You didn't fight them with fists, Dad, she told me one evening as we gathered eggs under the sunset. You fought them with truth. The wind shifted, carrying the smell of hay and hope across the fields. Laughter floated from the barn. Life had returned to Briarwood Hollow, not the way it was before, but better, forged by fire and resilience. In the end, fear didn't win. We did.